Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. It's been nearly 4 long years since I made my original video game room tour. That video way surpassed my expectations. The video is sitting at currently around 83,000 views, which is absolutely amazing considering that's the first video I've ever made for YouTube. One of my more requested videos is updated room tour. It's been a long time. I've actually moved since that other location, so it's got all new setup. As you can see behind me, I have 2 dedicated game rooms. This is just covers the American stuff. I'm actually living in Japan now, and then another portion of the house I have a significant amount of Japanese games that I'm going to be showing off. So thanks for joining us, and here we go. Well, this is something you don't see every day. I actually named my game room Goro'slair. Goro is a famous fighting character from the Mortal Kombat series, which I'm a big fan of, but I'm not good at all. Right here is a poster I picked up recently. It's actually original advertising for the first Mortal Kombat game, showing off the release date, September 13th, and everything. That was a pretty awesome pickup. This was in the back of a Wii U kiosk at GameStop quite a while back. I got that from a friend. Here's you've seen, and if you watch some of my other videos, you've seen this setup before. So here I have the complete North American Nintendo 64 collection, Super Nintendo, and then to your left is original Nintendo. And then some other random stuff. We're going to just do an overview right now. Some random memorabilia. Some pretty cool stuff in there actually. Go around to this side. Here's actually where the original Nintendo games start off. And they go in alphabetical order. All the way down and then continue on the shelf you just saw a moment ago. And then over here is your loose cartridge. And then some complete unboxed games at the bottom, the Game Boy Advance. Here's some posters. They don't really do these too often at GameStop. I usually get these from GameStop. It's random fan art, actually. It's pretty cool. Mega Man, Tomb Raider. They made it in like comic book style. Behind the door here, just give me one moment. Oh, decided to fall over. Convenient. One moment. Here we go. So behind the door here, you have some shelving going all the way to the ceiling. Some random stuff. PS Vita, Dreamcast, and then Virtual Boy, and then your Sega Genesis and Sega Master System. Done. Star Fox. Just went to a concert recently. It's called Capcom Live, so I actually had this made for that. It was really cool. Some fan art I picked up quite a while ago. It's a title screen of Mega Man. They just put it all in one thing. You normally never see it like that. Coming across this way, starting actually way over here. You have your Monster Hunter amiibos, the Yoshi big one, and then some more amiibos. I have currently the entire Japanese set of amiibos that was sold at retail to the public. They continue going all the way around. Apologize if it's out of focus. I'm trying to manually do this as I go across. And then they wrap around here. That's where they end at the moment. Coming back over here. Got some more amiibos going down. The Legend of Zelda. Quite a few Legend of Zelda. I think even in the future, Nintendo's coming out with some more Legend of Zelda. So, going back a couple years ago, actually, I don't know if it was a couple years ago, but a while ago, I finished my N64 set. This is the complete North American Nintendo 64 collection, as I mentioned. There's been very few things added to this since I finished it, but go ahead and show off what has been added to it. There's a Toy Story 2 variant. This had the movie ticket included in there. And then the other variant that I picked up, which was more recently, was the Gauntlet Legends with the little figurine This variant is pretty hard to come by, but I was happy I picked that one up to add to the set. I guess Super Nintendo, haven't really showed these off as much as I have the other ones, so kind of go down the line here so you can kind of check these out. Batman Returns, one of my favorite games as a child. Biometal right there is a really fun shooter with an awesome soundtrack. Contra 3 Alien Wars. The Donkey Kong Country series. I'm still trying to get the third one complete. Haven't came across that yet. You got the Earthworm Jim's, Family Feud. I have way too many hours into in my youth. Not so much nowadays. Joel Mac is one of my all-time favorite games on the Super Nintendo. Good platformer, co-op as well. Legend of Zelda, there's not much to say about that. It's amazing. Lost Vikings is an interesting one. Mortal Kombat, of course. Miss Pac-Man's pretty fun. This has a 2-player co-op mode as well. Yeah, that makes that really fun. When most Pac-Man games are only single player. Primal Rage was an interesting one. I think the ROM actually of the sequel that's just got released on the internet is something that never came out till just 2016, 2017. But it was made way back in the day. Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Superman. I'm surprised I actually found this American copy of Superman complete in box here in Japan. Very odd. Super Mario World, this is actually a sequel. It was made from Time Walk Games, or at least published by them. Still trying to get the first one, because the first one's my all-time favorite game. Super Smash TV. I'm a real big fan of this, but I used to play on the Midway's arcade classics on the Xbox, and then that's where I learned about it, and then that's actually my favorite version. Turtles in Time, obviously amazing. Tick was a fun one, but doesn't hold up too well nowadays. And then the wrestling games. LJN finally did something good. And then lastly, you got your Yoshi's Island and Zombies Ate My Neighbors. N64, I'm not going to go row by row over here just because I've already made a video on these. I've showed you what was new to them. So if you want to check those out, definitely check out. I'll either put a link here, or if you don't see a link, just check out my other videos. I don't have too many. Original Nintendo, there's I've already made a video on these as well. There's a complete Silver Box Konami collection and quite a few games. You've seen a lot of these. I made a video on this as well, but this is the first time having to actually set up on shelving and everything, opposed to having it on the floor in my other location. PS1 is really fun. I wish I collected for this system more. There's a lot of really good games that I do not have, but then again, there's a lot of really good stuff I do have. Crash Bandicoot, they're remastering that right now. It comes out here shortly, so pretty excited about that. Going over here to the display case. Kind of go down this. You got a Banshee, Mario 64, truck, some shot glasses, the Rex from Metal Gear. It's awesome. Freaking from Psycho Break or The Evil Within. God of War. Some really cool stuff. This is the most random thing. I found this in Japan. They have a Mario teapot. Of course I was going to buy that. It's only like 50 cents too. This is Killzone 3, obviously. These are the masks that were given away with the collector's edition. Or the Hellgas edition, I think they called it. But this actually a store display. It's attached to this. I got that from a GameStop a while back. Twisted Metal. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Twisted Metal series. I wish they made more of those. I mean, they made quite a few back in the day, but the series is all but dead now. This is an Alan Wake Xbox 360. It's very hard to find information in regards to this online. I think in Japan they auction these off for a charity event to benefit the 2011 tsunami victims and relief. I picked that up here locally, significantly, actually at a pretty good rate. So I'm really happy about that. I just wish I knew more information about it. Super Mario World, wow, holy crap, Super Mario Sunshine. I tried many years ago to get the full-size standee from a store, but they kind of turned me away. And this is when the game came out. But one of the employees there felt bad, and there was a small one, and he's like, hey, take this. And I did not complain. I took that so quick, and I've had this ever since. It was back in like 2002. Coming here is a continuation of the PS1 games. Got some good stuff in there. The Need for Speeds. Pong was fun. Oh my god, Road Trip. Played that a lot. Kind of had so many car combat games back in the day. That was a fun one. The Toomba. Those are fun. Kind of pricey nowadays, but they're good. Vigilante 8, of course. Smackdown. Those are fun. Metal Gear Solid. The first one I ever played was the second one for PS2, and then I just fell in love with the series ever since. Siphon Filter. Worms, one of my all-time favorite series. Or trilogies. It's a combat game. Going back and forth, attacking each other. The Little Worms. Doom, Duke Nukem, Jet Moto was a fun racing game. Street Fighter, and the Twisted Metal, of course. Driver 2. There you go, and then that covers all of your PS1 games. Holy crap, I'm out of focus, sorry guys. Small little details in here. Just kind of cut out a magazine, put this here, made it look like it's flying. Got a little Lemmings love going on down there. All the loose cartridge games. I'm not gonna go row by row, but I guess I can kind of zoom over. Now, if you notice, every single thing is in these protective cases, even the N64 and all. There's a site called retroprotection.com. Guy is really easy to work with and has a crazy amount of stock. He has like pretty much cases for anything you can imagine. Joe Mac, I do have the second one, but just trying to find them box. Going back and trying to complete stuffed box is pretty difficult nowadays. Mega Man, of course, is good. Toy Story was a fun one. I used to play that on Sega, but I have it for the Super Nintendo as well. Yoshi's Island, Other Zombies, Ate My Neighbor. Original Nintendo. A lot of this stuff ended up being duplicates, actually, because I purchased a lot of this before I got that original Nintendo lot of all those box games. So there's quite a few duplicates in here. But still some good stuff. The Mega Mans and whatnot. Try not to spend too much time on this just because there's a lot of stuff to show off. One random thing that I got in here was Tecmo Bowl, and this doesn't even make sense honestly, but I met Pete Manning and I decided, not really big into autographs, but I'll have him sign my Tecmo Bowl. He's not even in the game, but it's probably the only known copy of, Tecmo Bowl signed by Peyton Manning, which doesn't make any sense, but it's fun. It's a unique item in my collection that I enjoy. Put that back on the shelf. Going down, a lot of Atari, handful of Atari, some N64 duplicates, which I like actually having some loose cartridges. That way I'm not putting the wear and tear in the boxes as I'm going back and forth, trying to play the games like Mario Kart and whatnot. And get down here is your complete in box Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. Elevator action, oh, that was such a classic. Pokemons. And then Nokia Engage over here. Another project started recently. Pretty odd, but as I get them video game pins, just bought a tech board and collecting video game pins now. And then in this closet, just honestly just way too much stuff. Really just packed in here. This is the equivalent of a Japanese M82 unit. Holds a lot of original Nintendo games in there. Pretty unique item. Down here you got a Nintendo toy box. Sealed StarCraft 2 standee right here. Some more amiibos. I don't know. Just a lot of random stuff in here. This box right here is actually a complete in-box copy of E.T. from the Alamogordo, New Mexico landfill. That was a unique, pretty cool item. I need to figure out a proper way to display it. And then one day I probably will. But, cool. Well, this is, I guess, Game Room 1, so stick around. We'll be moving on to Game Room 2, Game Room 2. Wow, Game Room 2 now. Now that we finished Game Room 1 here, we're going to move on to Game Room 2 right over here. This is where I keep a lot of the more modern stuff. But we're still in the American games right now. So just give an overview. Kind of close the door here, kind of get a poster up here. Some more of these posters continuing along the wall. Gears of War, The Evil Within, and then Prey. I just installed this game, I haven't tried it yet, so hopefully it doesn't let me down. I guess we'll come back over everything, but so you can kind of see everything in the room before I sort of zoom in. This shelf holds, I had custom built just for this wall, and it holds just under 1,000 games. Right here is pretty cool. I got a couple of neon lights, and then a bunch of mainly complete in-box systems, but there are other stuff like controllers, games, just oddball size stuff right over here. And then lastly in this room you have a Ps2 Kiosk and then a Ps2 banner right here. So let's go back to where we started. These are the little Gears of War 4 from the mystery box. I don't have all of them. I think I'm missing about 3 of them. I just have to go buy those. Those are pretty cool. Most of these are my big box collectors editions, like Smash Brothers, Mario Party 10, and whatever the case may be. And then this is really cool as well. For the longest, I thought they canceled this, but it turns out they did release it, but it was just in Europe, so we never saw this in the States. It's Driver San Francisco with the die-cast car. And then going from here down is all factory sealed games. So this is where some hate might come in. Some of the stuff I've purchased after the fact. Maybe I have an open copy and I just wanted to have a new copy to go along with it. And then some stuff I bought with the intention of playing and just never got around to it. And then other stuff has just been maybe really good deals. And I normally pass on the savings to friends or maybe even trade sometimes, but not too often. Got some 3DS love right here. And then a little bit of Nintendo DS right here in the end. Not too much sealed in terms of older stuff. Wasn't collecting too much sealed back then. I think I showed this off in my last video. This is a World Tour Soccer 2002. It's out of focus right now. but they're factory sealed and they're missing the artwork. The only reason I even spotted that was because of the label on the top. Super Mario Bros. Wii. That was another one I got a crazy deal on and I ran away with it. The Wii U. Sadly, a lot of these I did actually buy with attention on playing, and they went straight to the shelf. PS3. And we're gonna move on to the PS4 over here. One thing I should have mentioned in the other room is I collect, I don't know if you've heard of it, limited run games. They do very limited releases of games. And I have the whole set up until now, with the exception of Saturday Morning RPG for the PS4, and then Breach and Clear for the PS Vita. And then moving on up. Most of the sealed stuff kind of carries on and then moves on to just regular stuff. And then this is where that ends. Here's where we go on to PC games. I'm not big into PC at all. Got a handful over the years. I did play this way back when. But for the most part, with the exception of Unreal Tournament 2004, I've hardly put any time into PC gaming. PSP. I love. That's probably actually my all-time favorite handheld is the PSP. There was a lot of really good games on the system. The Nintendo DS was just a powerhouse though, and eventually took off in sales and left the PSP in its dust. The Nintendo DS was good as well. Mario Kart DS is my second all-time favorite Mario Kart. Really good. I love they have little missions in there that I wish they'd bring back for the other Mario Karts. Kind of like little challenges. Super Princess Peach is really cool. Pokemon, of course. Here we get into the PS2. Dragon Ball Z is really fun. Driver, they were cool. The last really good one though was the PS1 version, Driver 2. The Getaway was really weird. You had to heal by leaning on walls. This one, it took a while, but I did beat God of War. They speak for themselves, they're really good. The Grand Theft Auto series is outstanding, of course. Jack and Dexter, which I would love to get a new one. Naughty Dog's moved on to bigger and better things with Uncharted and Last of Us series. The Metal Gear Solid 2 I mentioned earlier, really good. The Mortal Kombat. Shaolin Monks right here. That was a fun little beat 'em up. Oh my god, I would love a modern day one. Psyops is really cool. Use telekinesis, throw people against walls. All that. Actually, now that I think about it, I mentioned that same game in my last video. Psyops is just a really cool game that I wish more companies took advantage of. Mortal Kombat. Ooh. As I mentioned, there's over 1,000 games on the shelf, so I don't know if I'm gonna go, down the line for every single one. But I kind of, I guess, back up and do a quick little overview. Make it a little quicker. Crash Bandicoot. Oh, Dino Crisis 3 was one I was really upset about when it came out. But maybe I should go back and give it another try. Hunter the Reckoning. Oh, that was a fun one. Kung Fu Chaos is a really fun party game right here. It's what actually sold me on the original Xbox. I mean, many more games came out after that sold me as well, but I went out specifically to buy an Xbox for that game. Pac-Man Real 2 was really fun. I've been wanting to try this Painkiller. I have not tried it. Came out on PC at first, and I didn't have a PC to even try to run that. Stubbs a Zombie. A really fun co-op game. Just go around wrecking a whole town. Highly recommend. Halo 2, another game that speaks for itself. Get over to the Wii games. One game a lot of people don't like, but I absolutely love, is Mario Party 9. It's the first one that they added where you have to move together in a vehicle. I hated it at first, but the more I played it, the more I fell in love with it. Miramasa, when this came out, this is the artwork style that they use in this is very, very beautiful. And another good one. Getting over to the GameCube games. Got The Legend of Zelda, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. That was a good one. Mario Kart, Double Dash. Back over here you got the Mario Parties. The Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes is when they remade the first Metal Gear and really stood out on its own. One of the more rare games on the GameCube is NCAA College Basketball 2K3. Rampage is fun. This one, not so much, but it's the same. They're actually making a movie, a Rampage movie. Melee, I have way too much time into that. How's everyone's favorite character, Star Fox, of course. Kirby for a long time too, but I progressed past him. .360, this might be one of my all-time favorite consoles, near Super Nintendo, of course. The 360 is the first one that I really truly messed around with online play, and it really helped me bring a lot of my friends together, play a lot of games. A lot of people sadly don't do couch co-op anymore, but when you try to have them hop online, they're all for it. PS3. It's always more of a PlayStation guy, but once the 360 came out, that all changed. So the PS3 and PS4 since became like my alternate console where I play just like the exclusives on it. Xbox One's really fun. Had a lot of really controversial when it came out though. Like a lot of the stuff that they were trying to go with. Here are the systems we're talking about. I am completely out of room on this. So that's where I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with this stuff. Just bought the orange Pikachu N64 recently, the gold one, Sega Genesis, a Nintendo 64 disc drive. It's extremely hard to come by. This is the first one I've actually came across, so I was really had to add that to my collection. And then Ace Combat 6 with the flight sticks. And we'll just skim over this as well. I don't know if I'm going to get them all, but I would like to get all the Japanese N64 consoles complete in box. And then here's another one of the Pikachu N64s. They have 3 of them in here in Japan. So I got 2 of them out of the way. Down here is a game called Steel Battalion. Original Xbox. The controller has like 40 buttons. Even the Japanese one plays in English. So it's user friendly if you want to import it. But I think the Xbox games are region locked. So you would still need a Japanese Xbox. Twin Famicom, you got a Famicom there. Neo Geo CDZ, PS4 Pro, Xbox. Original Nintendo. PC Engine Dual R. Oh my god, the PC Engine something I discovered since being out here. It's become one of my favorite systems to collect for easily. I'm not sure if I skipped over this, so let me just kind of skim over this. And then lastly, just some more random stuff. Bunch of handhelds, 3DS's, factory sealed. Been collecting those for a little while. This Ps2 Arcade I've had for a while now. They showcased it. This is my last one. I used to work at a GameStop and our store got a newer model. And my manager was nice enough to let me take this one home. So I've had this since probably around 2007 and I have no intentions in ever getting rid of this. So here we go out. So that is the last of the 2 American game rooms. So we're gonna move on out here. Here is my gaming setup. Mainly American games played on here, but I do have a system called the Retro Freak where I can play some Japanese games. Got the TV here. Still trying to find a home for these. Somewhere in the house. But here's some old Mario Kart keychains. Just lay them out for the moment. Over here, here's the kitchen and everything. Here's my beautiful wife.
Hi.
I don't really collect movies, but I have quite a few. I consider collecting where you're actually pursuing them, where movies, I swear I just acquire them from over time. So here's all the movie stuff. Kind of go over that. PC Engine. This is the system I was just talking about. We call this in the States the TurboGrafx 16. It was really popular in Japan, so there was a lot more games. Some really cool stuff like there's a game called Kid Dracula, where for the longest I thought this was just a port of the Famicom version, but it looks like it's a completely different game altogether. You got this is a really good shooter, Magical Chase. I can't beat the 4th stage. There's 6 stages total, and I cannot get past the 4th stage for the life of me. So I am horrible at that. This is where it gets a little weird because we're going over Japanese stuff now. So if you can read the side spines, good on you. If not, this is just a bunch of pretty games. So that's why I have some games sticking out that I kind of want to talk about. So we can at least cover it a little bit. Splatterhouse was really, really fun. This is a really good port. I guess the American version, they edited some stuff, so it's good to have the Japanese one. Spriggan is an interesting shooter that was really popular out here. Actually, I have 2 of them, Spriggan and Spriggan 2. Moving ahead, they have Winds of Thunder, which in the States we call this Lords of Thunder. Another fun one, but really difficult. Moving on up, here's the beginning of the Japanese game. So, it's all your PS2. I originally learned about this game. It's called Sengoku Ace 2. There's this one. I originally learned about this and I bought it on the PAL. And it's called Tengai. And probably maybe even my top shooter of all time. Like, it is really good. So when I found the Japanese one, I was really happy. Kind of skim over this. It's a little different. So some games like the PS1 and Saturn, when you flip them around, you see that's in kanji on one side. Or I keep saying kanji, but I think there's different variations. So Japanese on one side and then English on the other. Unfortunately, PC Engine or TurboGrafx 16 did not do the same. Dungeons Dragons, really good beat 'em up, only out here. Elevator Action Returns. I'm a pretty big fan of the Elevator Action series, so when I found out that they made one for the Saturn, I reached out and grabbed that. I just tried this the other day. I've heard good things about it, but I was not feeling it. It's the Guardian Heroes. Maybe I'll have to try it out again, but I don't know. I was not liking that at all. This one's really cool. This has an interesting thing where it's a shooter where you're going from the bottom of the screen shooting upwards, but you can turn on arcade mode where you in turn have the aircraft on the far left side and it's shooting to the right. So if you theoretically mount your TV vertical, you'd have significantly more like room to mess around with. Just picked this up recently. This is called Salamander out here in Japan, but in the States we know this is Life Force on the original Nintendo. This collection's pretty cool because I never knew there was a sequel to Life Force or a Salamander 2, and it's on here. And it is not bad at all. And you get unlimited continues. Willy Wombat, this is a interesting little puzzle adventure game. The game's completely voiced over in English, so that was really convenient. The Dreamcast Mega-Cd, which is just your Sega CD in the States. They got some good Dreamcasts, but I don't find too many that catch my eye out here. A lot of them are simulators or RPGs. Ps1 Captain Commander. This is a really fun beat 'em up. They had this on Super Nintendo in the States, but we never saw the PS1 version of this in the States. I wouldn't recommend buying the PS1 version, even though it's really good, just due to the fact that they later did a port of the game over to the Capcom collection for the PSP and PS2. So, and that one supports 4-player co-op, where the PS1 version only supports up to 3-player co-op. So you get the more, I guess the better version in the Capcom collection, which is a lot cheaper. But if you really want it for the PS1, it's available, and it's good. And that's another game where you get unlimited continues. So with that unlimited continues, you can have anyone really playing with you. If you have some younger children and stuff, it doesn't matter who, they could just spam attack the special move. And then trying to apologize. It's really hard trying to stay in focus. If you put it in automatic, it just goes crazy. It makes too much noise, so it's just better to manually do it on your own. Your Pokemon and all that. Vita I don't got a lot of, but they do have Darius Burst. This is only in Japan right now, but if you are a fan of shooters, I recommend getting this. Limited Run Games, the website I told you about earlier, I think here coming up shortly they're going to do a physical release of the Vita. So I recommend keeping your eye out for that because they only do a one-time release. The Pokemon, of course, are really good. I got some Rockman games right there, just Mega Man in the States, of course. And then that's it for this shelf. This is a lot of your, I guess, your more modern stuff to an extent. And then coming in here, which is the bedroom, is the PC. And then up here is all stuff waiting to get filed away with the rest of the collection. I just have to add it into my little database. And then here, I used to just have this shelf right here, just full of games, but ran out of room. So I bought the same shelves that I'm utilizing in the other room. And they're already pre-made, so it just very conveniently worked out that I was able to squeeze it in right here around the TV. So this is fun. With the disc drive I told you about earlier, got some cool games for that. I got the Artist, and then a handful down here, including the F-Zero expansion pack. Out of focus here. There's going on. I'm just going to kind of point out highlights that I enjoy. Here in 64, I'm trying to get the Japanese exclusive, but as you see, some of the stuff I have the American version of as well. Like the Legend of Zelda's, of course. This one's a fun one. I'm very upset we never got this in the States. It's called Sin and Punishment. It's a rail shooter, and a really, really good one at that. Like, I think it pushes the 64 to its limits to an extent. Recommend checking it out. This is pretty cool. Super Mario 64 was released twice in Japan, so this is the later version, and this version included rumble support, which the original release, what we saw, did not. Going down. And that's it for the N64. I don't see a lot of N64 out here. I feel like I didn't do so hot out here. Especially since considering the States got a lot more games than Japan did. And a lot of the games that Japan did get were exclusive, so they missed out on a lot of stuff that we got. One cool thing, Streets of Rage out here in Japan is known as Bare Knuckles. I wish more games did this. This is kind of cool. They spliced together multiple screenshots and made one long screenshot. I wish a lot of older games did that, because that is very unique, and I haven't seen that in any other games. You got Streets of Rage 2 right here. It's called Bare Knuckles 2. Out here, of course. Golden Axe is amazing. This one I've always heard good things about. Finally got around to playing it about a month ago, and I beat it. And I have nothing but positive things to say about this. Just go ahead and, if you can, pick that up, play with a friend. It was released in the States as well. Rainbow Islands, I've heard a lot of great things, still have not tried it out, sadly. You got your Sonic, Splatterhouse 3 there. An interesting shooter. A lot of shooters. That's what's really popular in Japan. Or tuning. I guess they were. They're, in terms of value, like RPGs in the States are up there in value, whereas the shooters are crazy on the second-hand market here. Axley, Biometal. This is, I mentioned in the other room, I really like because the soundtrack. The Japanese version has a different soundtrack. That blew my mind. Here you go, Contra 3 Alien Corps. They call it Contra Spirits out here. I bought this one originally, and then later on got the American version. And I went to play the American version with a friend because I wanted to, get the story. And it looks like they got rid of the 30 life cheat code in the Japanese version, or the American version. They still left it in the Japanese version, so I prefer that one. Final Fight, this is interesting. So in Japan, there's this character down here. Oh my god, I gotta stay out here. It's a female character, her name's Roxy, or Poison, those two of them. And they were gonna release the game to the West, but they were nervous because if they released it to the West, they weren't sure how people were gonna react to, beating women, which is really bad, of course. So they decided to make the characters mixed gender, and that would have solved that dilemma. But then they realized maybe that even that's not so good. So they replaced the characters with Billy and Sid, I believe his name in the States. And from that point forward, they moved with those characters and kept the females in the Japanese version. Here's a cool little puzzle game called Mario and Wario. This is really, if you ever played the Mario vs. Donkey Kong, it probably was heavily influenced by this. Rockman is your Mega Man, of course. Rockman and Bass. We did not see an American version of this for the Super Nintendo, but we did see it later ported to the Game Boy Advance. Sonic Wings, if you've heard of Aero Fighters for the Super Nintendo, this is what it's called in Japan. It's a good shooter. I recommend checking it out. If you do want to get this, I recommend buying the Japanese version, unless you can shell out the asking price for the American version, which is up there. The Bombermans, I haven't really played these. I know in the States we only got the first two, but they had an additional 3 in Japan. I heard the 4th one's really cool. It has animals, I believe. Donkey Kong, Super Mario World, which is my all-time favorite Super Nintendo game. The only one of the biggest noticeable difference about the Japanese one is there's a level with dolphins, and you can actually eat the dolphins with Yoshi. which they censored in the Western version. Moving on from Super Famicom to Famicom, which is just your original Nintendo games. So early on, and here they had the disk drive, which I can show you down here. Here's the disk drive. Ooh, that did not work out. So these are your disk drive games. A lot of the games, early games they saw were released on that here in Japan. Well, we saw it on the cartridge, of course. Well, later on, when cartridges got bigger and better, they moved back to cartridges. So I don't know all the lists, but I found out like games like Excitebike, like the Famicom version with the cartridge, they added 2 additional levels, plus changed around some of the stuff in the original level design. So it's kind of cool that some of the later versions, the cartridges are actually different. Gunmac, the American version, this is pretty pricey. The Japanese one you'll save a lot of money on if you decide to get the Japanese one, and the Japanese one's a little bit better because it adds additional screenshots. Here's some Game Boy Advance games. We'll go back to the Famicom here in a moment, but these are the classic series. They had 30 of them out here, where we only, I don't know how many we have, I'm not even gonna guess. But I like the design that they used on these. Moving down the line. Game Boy. And then back to the Famicom. You got Kid Dracula again. I recommend checking this out if you have the opportunity. So the camera just cut off on me randomly, so we're going to pick up where I left off. Right here, you had in the States you have a game called Kung Fu. Out here they call it Spartan X. And they made a sequel called Spartan X 2 that was exclusive out here. The game is really different from its original, and I'm honestly not the biggest fan of it, but it is another unique thing. I'm not sure, I know there is exclusive Star Wars game out here for the Famicom. I think this might be it, but I'm not sure. I haven't did the research. I picked that up a little while ago and haven't been able to throw it in yet. We got a lot of Dragon Ball here. Of course, we didn't see Dragon Ball till later on in the States. Got some PSP games here. Back to the disc system games. You got there's 2 that I really wanted, and I got the 2 that I wanted. And then one is called Doko Doko Panic, which we all know as Mario Brothers 2 in the States. They just pretty much took this game and replaced the characters of Mario, Princess Peach, Luigi, and Toad. And that was it. And then the actual Mario Brothers 2 is this right here, which we've seen on the Mario All-Stars, and they call it the Lost Levels. But that was the 2 that originally came out. I wish these had end spines like ours do as well. Here's some loose Super Famicom games, like Stone Protectors there. A handful more down here. Then you go on to Famicom, and then a couple loose MSX games. I don't want to pull these all out. I did pull out some beforehand though, just to kind of point out. This one right here, Sonic Blast 2, just picked this up not too long ago. This one, I cannot get this. Let me focus this. Sorry. It's a nice little beat 'em up. Fireman. You go through buildings, try and put out fires and then rescue people. Alesta, which is just known as Musha for the Sega Genesis. Samurai Pizza Cats. We saw a cartoon of this very briefly in the States a long time ago, and they made a game of it, and it's pretty good. I think it was featured in GameSack's Hidden Gems videos for Left in Japan. This another game. It's a little pricey. The game's not good, but the level design is really good. A puzzler. I apologize, I don't remember the names of all these games at the moment. And then this last one right here might be one of the rarest games in my collection. This is called Far East of Eden. This particular copy with a sticker, I guess, was given away as a promotional item. I'm not sure how you won it, but it was through some kind of contest through a magazine, and there was only ever 200 of these made. So being generous, assuming even 25% of these still exist, there might only be 50 of these left in the world. So I am pretty happy to have that in my collection. Moving on, here's my Japanese system setup. You saw earlier with the TV, so you got the PC Engine, Famicom, Nintendo 64, PS2, Saturn, and then the Super Famicom. And then I have this one out, which we were talking about earlier, is the Life Force, which we saw in the States. But I love this cartridge. Just the see-through nature of it. I think it might be the only Famicom cartridge that's like that. So that's another one I'm happy to have added to the collection. And then I guess coming over this way, just got a bunch of random loose video game consoles. I wish maybe I'll display some of this stuff in the future, but there's like a PS1 banner right here, Soul Calibur 2 banner, Mortal Kombat, PS2 banner inside there. I mentioned before all my games go in protective cases, so that's what these are. So as they come across me, I put them in there. Controllers. And then this is actually the only old TV I own. So this is where if I want, I'll play some Japanese games on here with the Famicom. Little old TV. And just random strategy guides and all that fun jazz. But yeah, that's it. This is it. So one last overview. The Japanese collection. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And see you next time.